Hey everybody, Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com, back with a preview and prediction for this Sunday's game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and Atlanta Falcons. Week 1 kickoff. The season is finally here. Let's talk about it. Before we start, if you guys could like this video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the site, SteelersDepot.com. Would really appreciate that. Let's talk about this game, and of course, it starts with the quarterback situation. And I'm recording this on Friday night, and so the belief is right now that Justin Fields will start. Officially, Russell Wilson is questionable with a calf injury that he aggravated during Thursday's practice. Reporting and tea leaves indicate he won't go, but we may not know for sure until Sunday morning through warm-ups. We'll have to wait and see. Things could change, just a heads up on that. But I'm going to work under the assumption that Fields will start and play right now, and Wilson will not. So, I think it's a tough challenge overall for any team in week 1. I've talked about that throughout the week, but when you're facing an Atlanta team that you're not playing super often, it's not a divisional opponent, for example, it's a new coaching staff, and Atlanta basically did not play their guys in the preseason, you wonder exactly how to attack them. And I think in a game like this, and for a lot of week 1s, the focus really is on yourself and taking care of your business and executing your technique, more so than it is about beating your opponent. I think that's just true for a lot of situations in week number 1. For Fields, I think when you talk about how does he win, when you have Wilson out and Fields in, you can open up the quarterback design run game a lot more. That's a benefit. That's an element that Pittsburgh wouldn't have had Wilson been the guy playing 90% of the snaps and Fields picking up a couple in situational football. So you're going to force Atlanta to defend read option, to defend an extra man, basically to have to account for the quarterback run element, and that can open things up. I think the real challenge is when you look at this Falcons defense, you look at that safety tandem. They made 2 big upgrades, Atlanta did, this training camp, and adding edge rusher Matthew Judon, but also safety Justin Simmons, the multi-time Pro Bowler out in Denver. And you have Bates and Simmons and all of the kind of veteran tricks and disguises and lies they can tell in terms of showing too high pre-snap and rotating down to single high post-snap. Fields is going to have to be able to read that. And it's not that he can't do it, and he's been quarterback for a long time. It's not the first time he'll see post-snap rotation, but being able to just handle that here in the first game of the season and not knowing he'd be the starter until maybe right before kickoff and not getting complete starting reps throughout the entire week. Those are all going to be challenges. So I think just dealing with the Falcons defense and some of the schematics they do and some of the rotations they're going to do will be important in this one. That Falcon secondary is pretty strong in terms of some of the starters they have. Simmons, Bates, and A.J. Terrell at corners are a really good corner. I think that matchup between George Pickens, A.J. Terrell is going to be one of those 5-star battles that we don't talk about much, but it's going to maybe help determine how well this offense works. So starting up front, though, going with the Atlanta's D-line, Grady Jarrett's going to be that man in the middle that young Steelers offensive line is going to have to handle. In the interior, Zach Frazier, first start at center. Left guard, Spencer Anderson, first start, replacing the injured Isaac Seumalo. So how do those guys handle, double teams and combo blocks and working in the second level? And Frazier on an island, in pass protection. In Pat Meyer's system, the center typically sees more island and one-on-one work because the guards are helping the tackles more often when they're uncovered. So it still starts up front. I mean, Pittsburgh's overall approach is not going to change dramatically, assuming that Fields gets the nod. They want to run the ball. They want to use play action. They want to change the launch point. And that's basically the MO. Don't turn the ball over. Now, Fields has to show he can avoid doing that. That's always been his issue. A lot of highs, a lot of lows, a lot of big plays, a lot of negativity. But I think it starts up front in handling Jarrett. And then for Fields, it's about that safety chess match between him, Bates, and Simmons. For the Falcons offense, some new here as well, of course, in quarterback, Kirk Cousins. And you're going to have an upgrade there, obviously, in talent, although they won't have the run element that Atlanta's had the last couple of years, where you had Desmond Ridder last year and Marcus Mariota 2 years ago, the last time that Pittsburgh faced Atlanta. So, I think for Atlanta, their approach is going to be pretty similar to Pittsburgh, where they want to run the ball and trust their offensive line, and they have a really good, stable, consistent offensive line that does not get much love. But you talk about, Lindstrom and McGarry on the right side. They got a high pedigree guy in Bergeron at left guard, who's drafted last year. Jake Matthews, super underrated left tackle, and Dahlman at center. And so they're basically running back their offensive line, and that's a positive thing in their favor. So can Pittsburgh stop the run is going to be the MO. Can you limit the success that Bijan Robinson has, some of those zone runs, maybe the screen game as well, some of the run game extension type stuff. They're going to run a decent amount of RPOs, and they're going to trust Kirk Cousins to make good decisions. If you can do that and really put this game in Kirk Cousins' hands, not that he's incapable of winning with his arm, he is, but for a first game to become one-dimensional for a quarterback coming off a torn Achilles with the pass rush that Pittsburgh has is certainly going to be a benefit and advantage for Pittsburgh. Their whole defense is centered around stopping the run first. If you can do that, put teams in third long and get creative with your blitz looks and allow Watt and Highsmith, Benton, Hayward, Herbig, etc. to pin their ears back. So I think, again, you talk about week one, you talk about some of the unknown because of that, and especially with a new coaching staff, a new OC, you just have to play your game, and that's stopping the run if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. I do think schematically it's a different looking team. Don't expect what you saw in Atlanta last year with Arthur Smith. Last year they were tight end heavy, they were 12 personnel, they were 13 personnel, they were at 11 personality because they have a OC and Zach Robinson coming over from the Rams, and that Sean McVay system is very much based and rooted in 3 receiver sets. They got Drake London, they had Darnell Mooney, and they have former Steeler Ray McLeod out in the slot. You talk about, on the other side, Pickens versus Terrell. I think for the Falcons offense, it's Drake London versus Joey Porter Jr., big on big, pedigree type guys. Those are going to be, real key battles to watch overall. There'll be some jump balls and downfield throws, and who wins out on either side will dictate a lot for this game. And then I think Dante Jackson on Darnell Mooney. That's speed on speed, kind of size on size, very similar type guys. Really going to be a fun matchup to watch overall. But Pittsburgh with that front seven, that is the strength of the entire team, is certainly their front seven, offense or defense. That is where they are the best and where they have to win. That means stopping the run, putting teams off schedule, in third and long. They can do that. They can really wreak some havoc on Kirk Cousins and this Falcons offense. Don't want to forget special teams in this one either, especially if you assume this will be a close game. Chris Boswell versus the Falcons kicker Koo. You talk about the punting unit for Pittsburgh. What will the Gunners look like? I've almost obsessed about that, been concerned about that, but that'll be a factor in this game. So in close games, first games like this, you want to make sure you're clean on special teams and just clean overall, not with penalties and sloppiness. You've seen some of these games so far to start the season around the NFL. You've gotten a touch of that sloppiness. Pittsburgh on the road should be a good home crowd feel with Steelers Nation, but still, you're on the road, first game overall. You want to make sure you're cleaning up any of those issues. With Fields in the preseason, there were certainly some snap issues and some miscommunication, and those things have to be, you can't laugh those things away and call it that's preseason. You're working things out. These games count, and they got to be ready to go in this one. So for my prediction, and I've kind of had this one locked in before all the Wilson stuff happened, but I'm gonna stand pat, stand firm, whether it's Wilson or Fields starting. Got Pittsburgh winning this one 23-17. I think Pittsburgh's run defense will be strong enough to really dictate terms in this game. I think Pittsburgh will show more balance offensively to what Atlanta will be capable of doing, and I think just a little more trust in that Steelers coaching staff off the top. I think what the Falcons can build could be something, much better than what they had in past years, but first time out, new coaching staff, new changes there, I think gives Pittsburgh a bit of an edge, and just frankly, Pittsburgh is just the best in one-score games. No one is better in one-score games. Over the Mike Tomlin era, they win 61% of those games. I think it'll be close. I've cautioned about this game, being more challenging than people think. I think the front half of the schedule is more difficult than people are giving it credit for. So this will be a tight game, but I have Pittsburgh winning this one 23-17. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate you guys listening. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel and check out the site, SteelersDepot.com. We'll have recap, analysis, film room on the site and on the channel post-game, so be sure to check all those things out. Thank you again for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.